While I'm preparing you this package, the last version of Revit is 2020. And when you open your Revit for the first time, you will see this page. Now I want to analyze this for you and tell you anything about the icons and the tools. On the left, you have a model part which includes open and new. And you can open your previous models by pushing on open. And next one is new, and if you want to begin a project, you need to press on that and open an empty page. But opening a new page in Revit includes some points that you need to pay attention. So let's go and learn anything about these points you need to know when you want to open a new page. When you press on new, something appears that wants you the template file. And actually it's on the construction mode here. But what is template? Template is a half-ready file you need to have to start your project. And if I open this file, you see that each major has its own template: architectural, structural, and mechanical. Each of them have their own template. We can say that if you don't have this template, you can't start your work in Revit. So if you press on new and you see there's no template for you in this page, you have to add those templates in a way I explained it to you before. And you as an architecture will press on the architectural template, and then by pressing on OK, you will start a new project. That I don't open it now. Next part is families. But what are the families? The families are actually the objects that we bring in our project and we use them. Like doors and windows, the different kinds of them, the different kinds of barriers, and anything else we can get in our project in order to use. And if I want to compare the families with one thing in the AutoCAD, what would that be? What do we have in AutoCAD that we get in our file and we use it? That's right, the blocks. Well, actually, they're not much similar, but the families are added to our project too, and we use them. And here has two parts. One of them is open, that you can open the previous families that you have entered, and it also has a new that you can create your own family. It's actually a model of a door or a window that I don't know whether I search the website, I can't find it and I can't download it. So I make it for you in this part, the Revit families. So let's open a new file and continue our discussion with the architectural template. And don't forget about the template, it's so important. What you can see now is the interface of Revit. In order to learn any software, first we should get familiar with the environment of it. Now let's get familiar with all the icons we have in Revit. Alright, let's start from up here, which is called the quick access bar. And the tools we use more in our project are here, most of them are here. And you can also manipulate these tools too. For example, if you don't want this one, you can click on it and you will remove it. You see, remove from quick access toolbar. Or for example, if you want to add the wall there, you will click on the wall and you will see add to quick access toolbar. So you can manipulate your icons in this way. Pay attention. It has been said that in some computers that their graphic cards is GeForce. This part is a kind of transparent, and those people can't see the icons there. And if this happens to you, either update your graphic card, or if it didn't happen, press on this icon and then press on the show below the ribbon, and then the place of it will change. And it's not that good because it will make your workspace smaller. And if your computer is okay, leave it to be on the top of the frame. Next part is this big panel here, which is called ribbon. Ribbon includes some head node that includes all the tools we need. For example, in the architecture, you can see there's wall, there is door, window, column, roof, ceiling, the curtain wall, ramp, stairs, and every other thing. Next one is structure, which has beam, column, and different foundations. Next one is system, which is related to MEP. You can see it has duct, it has the pipes, the electrical tools like the cable tray, and things like this. For example, in the messing inside, you will see the tools about designing and the landscape. And we also have modify, which includes some tools like move and rotate and things like this that if you pay attention, it's like AutoCAD. Pay attention that this ribbon you have here never closes. But if you double click on any of these names or the head nodes, the form of it will be changed. As you can see, if I double click on the modify, the form of it changes. It gets kind of smaller, and if I double click again, it will be again smaller. They never close, and it keeps getting smaller, but I don't advise it for you. Just double click on it to get back in the same form. Actually, your ribbon has 4 forms that you can switch these forms by double clicking, and I suggest you keep it always on the maximize form so that you always see it. The next one is properties, and it's actually on the left side of our of the Revit. For example, while you are drawing a wall, we should say the height, we should say what materials have been used in our wall, and all of these are in this properties. And for example, if I want to draw some stairs, I need to say the number of the stairs, the ordinate of the stairs. For example, if I want to draw a window or anything else, and all these properties about that will be in this part I'm showing you now. So the next one is the project browser, which is on the right side of the frame of Revit, and it actually gives us the list of the plans in our project. Like you can see, it has floor plans, it has level 1, level 2, and the site plan. The ceiling plans, it has level 1 and level 2. Then is elevation, which has 4 default views. If you want to see any of these views, you need to double click on each of them in that project browser part. So to get a bit more familiar with this, I will draw you a small project so that you understand the usage of the project browser, and you will also get a bit more familiar with Revit itself. And remember, this part is not a lesson, and I don't need you to take notes or try to learn anything, just watch. But if I say it again, then you can take notes and learn it. Not now. So let's draw a small project and you just watch it. You can compare it with the software you know how to use in your mind, of course. And let me draw a kind of house. And you just watch. I will teach all of these to you later. And these are 2 rooms. Are you comparing with the softwares like AutoCAD, Rhino, Max? So, these are the walls. Now let's draw doors and windows. And we have only one kind of a door. And I said that every object we use in Revit is called family. And here I click on load family. And as you can see here, I have some default doors and windows. But you can go and download yourself to have more of these. And you can see it's done so simple, and it's done really quickly. And let me place one here too. Now let's go for the windows, and I want to choose from my own default ones, not the one that it has. And let me change the size of it a bit. And I want to place too many windows. If it's not too architectural, please forgive me. Okay. Alright, these are the windows, and now I want to make glasses of all these parts. For example, I want to place the curtain wall. I will place one part over here and another part here. Let me put another part there too. And then I will place a floor for it. And to make it a bit funny, I will incline the roof. I will click on roof, and I will put an overhang for it. And then we do some cuts, 2 or 3 cuts. That is the favorite part of the many of you guys. Let me do one more cut too. That's good now. Okay, it's over. Since now you should learn anything I say because it's part of your lesson. Now, in what view are we? That's right, in the plan. If you look at the project browser, it says floor plans. Our level 1 is highlighted now. Now I want to go to the 3D view, and if you want to have access to the 3D view, you can use that quick access bar at the top and press on this house. This is what I designed in these few minutes. And you can also go to the 3D part in this project browser here. But this one is faster. It's better to use that. This one is closed sometimes. If you want to open it, it takes some time. But that house at the top is so much easier. But if we want to go back to the plan, what should we do? Yes, that's right. In the floor plans on level 1, double click. In this way, we will go back to our plan. And if I want to go back to the 3D, I can press here on the house. I can come to the project browser on 3D. And in the new edition, I can go back to the previous model. You can see here it has 3D. You have 3 choices to change the view of your design. And by the way, you can see the list of all the open views in here too. Here. Project 3, 3D view, and the floor plan level 1. But the best choice is to use these head nodes or that house from the top. Okay, let's go back to the plan. Now I want to see the site plan, which is in the project browser, as you can see, and I will double click on this site. Just one click will be useless. It won't change anything. Double click on site. The site plan that can be also the roof plan. And just like I said in the first template, we have these 4 signs that each of them are for views. And we can double click on their names, for example, the south view or the east view. We double click and it will open. The north view, the east view, anything. Again, I want to go back to the plan. I click on level 1. For example, I want to open these 4 cuts. Here I click on section. Section 1, section 2, section 3 and section 4. So, by using the project browser, we can move between all the views we have. And I think actually you figure out the whole usage of the project browser, that its main job is to move between the views. Now let's go back to the 3D to tell you some points. The first one is the graphical settings of our view, and if you click on this cube at the down of the frame, you can see your graphical changes, which is called the usual style. The first one is called the wireframe, and its shortcut is WF. But what does it do? That's how it makes our design. And you can see everything in your model. The second one is hidden line. Its shortcut is HL. Hidden line, HL. But what does it do? It hides the thing in the behind of the our model. And the next one is shaded, and it makes it colorful, and its shortcut is SD. And if you press on SD, it will make your model colorful. And we have nothing to do with the rest of the icons, but if I want to give you a short explanation, the consistent colors just removes the shade. Realistic is for a time you want to receive a render that we haven't talked about yet, so we cannot use it now. And ray trace is a kind of render too. And in the next episode that we talk about render, we will talk about all of these too. And remember that the graphical settings are not just for the 3D. For example, if you are in a view, you can use this too, or even in the plan. If you press shaded on plan, you will see it colorful. The walls, the floors, and other subjects. We also have another part which is about the size of our pen. And if I zoom it for you, you can see the size, that you can remove these lines in this shortcut, which is called TL, which stands for thin lines. As you can see, you can remove these thin lines in a really simple way. We actually need these thin lines when we want to print our model. And in the middle of our work, we don't need to see these thin lines. It just distracts us. And in the middle of your work, if you wanted to remove it, you will just press on that and these thin lines will be removed. And I told you that its shortcut is TL. And I should also say that TL is not just used in plan. In 3D, as you can see, If we zoom in, you can see the thin lines. Let me tell you an interesting point. For example, if you are in section, if you zoom in, you will see that it will detect these thin lines itself. That means it detects all these cut parts automatically itself, and we don't need to do anything. But how can we turn around our object in the 3D view? Well, we can navigate that. If you want to turn around your object, just hold the shift and then click on scroll. In this way you can turn around your project. But there's a point here. It's better that while you are turning around your project, you choose an object as a center of your turning. What does it mean? Imagine we have two blocks in our project. We have a house here, and let me get a copy of it. Another house here. Now we want to work on this one. While we are working on this, when we turn our view, it will disappear. You might have faced it in other softwares too. But why that happens, it's because now the center of your turning is the other house. When it comes to the other house, it's still on the first house. But what do? We choose another object from the next house as the center of turning. For example, a door. Now the center of the turning will be here. And if you want to work on the previous house, again click on another center, another object to be your center. So now let's go for the next point. Just like I said in Revit 2019, everything you open will be left here as a headline. Everything that you have opened will be left for you to use again. And if they became too many, they move here in this part because there's not enough space for them there. But if you want to put all the open views next to each other at the same time, you can use the WT shortcut, which is the tile views. You can see if we press on this, all our headlines will be next to each other. But now we can't see our project between these. And we actually need something like the zoom extend that it is on AutoCAD, that it fits the project in view. In Revit, the shortcut of the zoom extend is called ZA. If you press on ZA, you can see that's how it will be. For example, I will delete one of these. And again, I will press on ZA. As you can see, our project will be fit in our view. But if you just wanted to do the zoom extend in just one of these, you can press ZE and it does the zoom extend in just one of them. So it will be ZE. Or another way is to double click on your scroll. You can see it works this way too. But it doesn't seem to be that much useful. Now, if I want to make it like it was before, make it as a headline again up there. If you want to do that, you need to press TW, exactly opposite of WT. And this TW is actually a shortcut for tab views. Now, if you press on that, everything will be like it was before as a headline, and I think this is a better way. Now, if you want to close the rest of these headlines, we don't want to have this amount of headlines, what should we do? We don't need them anymore. If you're in a view, for example, now I'm in North, come here and press on Close Inactive Windows. It will keep the view that you're in now and will close the rest of the views. Alright, let's do it one more time. For example, I open all of these And now I just want to keep the level 1. You go in level 1, it will keep this one and close the rest of them. Close inactive windows. And as I told you, having those views, those small views next to each other is not going to be useful. But having two views next to each other can help us a lot. For example, having plan next to the 3D. You can see plan and 3D. I press on WT and a ZA. And now I can work with these while they're next to each other. And when my work was done, I press TW and it will be as headline again. But I have one question for you. If we open all the views and make it kind of crowded, and these are as different headlines and some of it are there, and definitely if I press on WT now, it's so crowded and it won't be useful. So now answer this. If I want to have the plan next to 3D right now, what should I do? That's right. At first, I will choose what I want it to be open. I want level 1, but I don't want the rest of them. So when I open level 1, I will press on close inactive windows. All of them will be disappeared. Now what I want next to the plan? 3D. Now from here I open the 3D and I will press WTZA. This one is useful for us, but having all of those small items next to each other is not going to be useful at all. But having two views can be so useful, and now I want to show you its usages. In many large projects, sometimes we will forget where a door was, for example this one. So if you choose that one in level 1 and press on the other one, it will show you that door. Or for example, we are in the plan and we don't know where this wall is. We select it and click on the 3D part. Then we press on WF and we will see where that wall was. Even if I press on TW to maximize them, and now I'm in plan, and I want to know where this window is in 3D. I select it and I press on 3D from here or here. It means that they don't have to be next to each other. To make this happen, you can come here and select that part from the plan and then press on 3D to see where that object was. But one point, if you select, for example, a window in plan or a wall and you select your 3D from here, it will not work. And if I choose the wall again from here and I enter the 3D from project browser or the headlines, that will work. But if I select it here and I enter the 3D from that house, it won't work. But if I suddenly did that, is there any solution? Yes, you can do it on Revit. You will right click and there's an option here as select the previous. The Revit will keep it for you. So if you suddenly press on the 3D from that house, you can right click and then choose the select previous and continue your project. The next point is that we don't have anything called zoom selected in Revit. For example, I come to the plan and I choose this window and then I go to the 3D. And now I want to zoom to that window. And we don't have such tool here. But there is a technique. You see that cube? What does it do? For example, you can see the front of your model or the left of it. But what else does it do? If an item is selected and you press on that cube, it does the same thing that zoom select does. You can see I click on it and it zooms to that window. That's so cool actually. So I say again, if you're in 3D and an object is selected and you press on the cube, it will zoom it. And also remember that while you're doing this trick, click on a view that doesn't change too much. For example, don't click on that view to turn and go and show us somewhere else. So click on a part that doesn't change your view too much. This one can be good, and this one can be good too, or even the front view can be good. So choose a view to be suitable for that object you have selected. Now let me tell you something cool. If you have chosen something from inside your project, for example this door, and then I go to 3D, but it's inside and I can't see it, so we wireframe and then click on the cube. By doing wireframe, you can see anything from inside, and then when you press on the cube, it will be easier to zoom it. And check that object you have selected. I think you have learned the usage of the project browser in a good way. And even those techniques I told you in Revit, and I hope you can use it. But these two parts opposite of the ribbon are not constant, and you can close them like this. So if these were closed, how do we get them back? What was the one on the left? That's right, the properties. To get the properties back, you can press on the shortcut double P, 2 times on P. And when you do that, it will come back. And another way is to right click and press on the properties. And for the project browser, we right click, and here we have the browsers and project browsers. So we can get them both back with the right click. It has another way too. On the view headline, at the end it has a user interface. And as you can see here, it has the list of all the recent files. And it also has the properties and the project browsers at the top of it, is if you see. This is the techniques that if we close these palettes, we can bring them back. But imagine that these palettes are just in the middle of the page. Now we want to set them. I will tell you 3 methods for placing these palettes, and I think that one of them is very good. The first one I'm telling you. The first way is to set the palettes on the sides. And I want to place the properties on the left. I pick it up, I hold it, and I bring it here. And one mistake many people do is they try to put it very carefully, but it's wrong. And it's because that palette is on the things at the down of the frame. And if I minimize that, you see the palettes will have no relation with the main page. I tell you that you should stick these palettes to the frame of our page. In order to do that, you will hold the palettes. You won't get it near to there. It's like you want to get it out of your page. You will bring it, and when you see this one, you will let it go. And now that one, stay away from that part. You see, this is how it's done. This is the best way to set the palettes, but if you didn't have enough space, you can set one palette down or top of the other one. As you can see, I do it for you. And you should be so careful, because if you do it, something else will happen. You bring it here, And when that thing came, you let it go. This is the second form. The third form is to place that on the top line. And if you do that, these two will be one palette. And as you can see, I hold it and I put it there. And these two will go into each other and they will be each other's headlines. That I think this is the worst form for it because it can waste so much time. But if it became this way, what do? You can click on it and then bring it out. But if they were on their own place, I mean they on their right place, but suddenly you do it unwillingly, and if you click on its headline, it will go back to the previous place. But pay attention, it won't go back to the right place, it will go back to the previous place. It means if it were here, and I double click, it will go back to the same place. So if it were on the right place and I suddenly moved it without I want, you can double click on the headline and it will go back to the previous place. We almost got familiar with the environment of Revit. Now we want to arrange our unit so that we can start drawing. And if we want to arrange our unit in Revit, we can use the UN shortcut. UN, which is for units. If you go to the manage headline, you can see the project unit or UN, which is its shortcut. You'll press on it. What is this palette that suddenly appeared? When you work on your file for half an hour, but you don't save it, this warning palette will appear and tells you you haven't recently saved your file. And remember, in Revit there's nothing called autosave. We have a reminder. It gives us warning to save our file. And this is a big mistake if you cancel that. Definitely choose the save the project and know that it gives you this message every half an hour, and you can change this time that I will tell you how to do it later. So this is the project units. I close it to get it again. So we came to the manage headline. Here we have the project units. The first item is length, and here that is the round numbers. You will click on it and it will open. The first choice is unit. That means what unit you're going to need. You open it and you will choose every unit you're comfortable with. For example, I myself like to choose the meters. And then we have a rounding part that you will choose the place of the decimal. And pay attention, don't use the nearest, the first three at all. Without a decimal, 1 decimal, 2 or 3. And I think the best answer could be 2 decimal places. And because it's for meters, it will be centimeters. And I think we don't need to be more accurate in architecture, so that's enough. And don't forget one thing. Here, check the suppressed trailing zeros. But what is it? It will remove the extra zeros after the decimal, and it will be so useful. And I will explain it to you later. For now, I don't check it, so that you see it later. I press the OK, and let's continue. We go to the plan. As you see, when I choose this, for example, choose this one, there are some extra zeros after that decimal. That these zeros are useless and they might distract us, so let's just remove them. So let's remove it. I press the length, and then suppressed layering 0 checked. And I think it's better to forget about these zeros because it's going to be useless and distractive. And the ultimate point, so that you can go and practice after that, is the management of the shortcuts. In Revit, all the shortcuts include 2 letters like WT, TW, UN, You can also have a shortcut for those who don't have a shortcut, or even change the shortcuts if you like. So if you press KS, which is the keyboard shortcuts, if you press on the keyboard shortcuts, you can manage your shortcuts in Revit. For example, there was a problem, and that house, as you remember, it had no shortcut. And I write it down here. I write 3D, and I choose default 3D view because there's no shortcuts for it. And for example, I choose F3 for it, and then I press the OK. And now when I press on F3, it will come. Now let's choose it again, and then press on F3, and that's it. And I said it doesn't keep our select, so we should right click and press the select previous. So in KS you can change and manage the shortcuts, or for those who don't have, you can choose a shortcut. Okay, all I tell you, you just need to try it on this file. You're not about to draw anything. Just try it. For example, go to the plan, go to the 3D. All I told you, practice all this so that we can go to the drawing part in next episode.